What's up, and welcome to Snipe Life, where we look at creativity through the lens of Christianity. And today we're going to be looking at Simon and Eden's relationship. Would there have been first century family planning? What does this actually look like? How long have they been married? I don't have any answers to any of these questions, so let's just talk through the scenes. Let's look at what Simon and Eden talk about through this episode and in episode 1. There's a lot of different things to just kind of chat about here. So this one, I don't know, this is an interesting one for me. I think there's some interesting nuances here that we could talk about, and discussions of like, why wouldn't they have kids yet, right? Like, what was stopping them from having kids? Obviously they didn't have contraception. Obviously they didn't have birth control. Like, I don't know what was happening here. Was there first century family planning? I don't really know. As far as my research says, I couldn't really find anything that would say, like, you know, they would wait a certain amount of time and then have kids. I think it may be a more modern thing that we're just thinking of or whatever. I'd love to hear Dallas's or Tyler's or Ryan's thoughts on this. So if you guys have any input, definitely leave it in the comments below. I'd love to chat with you guys about it, or have you on the channel sometime. That'd be amazing, just to talk through it. But let's look at the scenes that we have with Simon and Eden and just kind of discuss what's going on here in season 3, episode 2, because we get some interesting scenes. Now, we've talked about this scene in particular in a previous video. There is, you know, sexual tension that's going on here in a marriage in The Chosen. And I love that they're portraying this in the way that they are. Obviously, we're not getting any sex scenes. That's not what we need, right? Obviously, we're not getting any, like, lewd content. That's not what we need, right? But we are seeing this relationship and the sexual nature of a marriage relationship, which I think is really important to talk about, because I think in the Christian culture, we avoid this a ton. Like, we avoid this subject like the plague, right? Because it makes us feel uncomfortable, because we've seen too many people use this in a bad way. And so a lot of people are just very, very uncomfortable with this subject altogether. But I think it's important for us to talk about it. It's important for us to break it down. It's important for us to have an idea of what's kind of going on here. And it's not just about the sexual nature of things, but it's also about the family planning and everything else that's kind of going on here. So let's take a look at some of these scenes and talk about what is kind of going on here with Simon and Eden.
Are you going to be here the whole time I do this?
Yes.
No, it's not. Why not?
Daniel, it's just a pill.
Just give it to me.
Well, take it.
It's mine.
I don't care anymore. I don't need it.
Boys!
Sorry.
You trained him.
Yeah, your cooking is a powerful incentive. If they want to eat, they will stay in their room quietly.
My question was, like, why didn't this happen when Nathaniel and Simon the Zealot were out in Tent City earlier? You know, like, we have a perfect scene where they're out of the house and gone. Like, why does this need to happen when they're in the house? That's the only weird thing. That's the only weird thing that I see, but who knows?
We're quiet now. Sorry.
Won't they get bored?
No, they both have so much to study.
I also love this part right here.
And you don't?
Let me see if I can go back.
Quiet now.
Quiet. Powerful incentive. If they want to eat, they... Yeah.
Sorry.
I don't care anymore. I don't...
Yeah, the part where he yells "boys," and you can see, like, look at Lada as she acts here. I think she actually, like, gets scared when he yells.
I don't care anymore. I don't need it.
Boys!
Right there, she, like, jumps a little bit. I don't know if that's just great acting or she actually got scared, but it'd be
Eat,
interesting
they
to
will
see.
stay in their room quietly.
Okay, we're quiet now. Sorry.
Won't they get bored?
No,
Won't
they
they
both
get
have so
bored?
much to study.
And you don't?
Of course I do. But, you know, I think you could help me.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Let's study. Come on. Yeah. I have much to learn.
Anyway, that's the first scene that we get with them. Of course, it's showing kind of the sexual nature of their relationship. Of course, they're married. We actually just talked about it in church this morning. There's several different words for the word love in the Greek language that's used in the Bible, right? Eros being the kind of erotic love or romantic love, right? More sexual love. Obviously, in a marriage, that's what you want to have. Thank you so much for the subscription, Gio. Appreciate that so much. And let's go on to the next scene with Simon and Eden. And we get this scene right here.
I can't believe I have you back.
Here I am, where I'll always be.
When you were gone this time, I had moments of feeling
Feeling what?
lost. I don't know what to call them.
What did they feel like?
I was angry, sad.
No, but you know, I'm with Jesus. We both are. Do you remember what he told you?
I always remembered that.
Back from
It's
season
what
1.
gets me through the days.
He sees you.
Now, again, just like Hagar, Jesus used those same kind of words. I see you. This is a big deal for Eden, right? It's what helps her to kind of get through. Now, this is also interesting as well as we think through. We'll talk about this later, actually. I'll save it for the next thing we're going to talk about. But there's some interesting things kind of going on here with Eden as well. I do wonder if Eden is going to become a follower of Christ, like actually following him at some point as well, because it wouldn't be unfounded in a lot of ways. I think it could have happened at some point in the ministry, but not 100% sure there.
I know. I think about that moment so often. But sometimes in the memory, I forget what his face looks like.
What do you mean?
Haven't you ever been separated from someone and you can't recall their face after a while?
Do you forget my face? What?
No, I don't forget your face.
I do wonder if this is one of the things that pushes her maybe to follow Jesus. I don't know. It'd be interesting. Now, again, we've talked about a lot of theories on this channel and looked at a lot of behind the scenes stuff, right? Now we think that Eden is actually possibly pregnant here, and that she may have a miscarriage at some point in this season. Thinking that maybe that miscarriage and her missing her husband and not being part of the ministry, maybe that all pushes her to become more a part of the ministry. I don't know.
Things are so good now.
Yeah, we just have to spend more time together. You know, I think Jesus has work to do here. And I've been thinking about our family.
Well, Ima is healthy, and my brothers are fishing. And
Our family.
Now, this is interesting to me because I don't know like how long Simon and Eden have been married. This is something that I've been thinking about a lot because there's a lot of unknown numbers that we don't have for The Chosen, right? We don't know how old all of the people are. We don't know how long Simon and Eden have been married. We don't know, like, really a lot of these different timelines, right? So Simon and Eden could have just been married for a year or two, and maybe they're just now trying for children, but I don't really know what the normal first century sort of like, family planning would have been. Because it doesn't seem like they've been trying for children before. And I don't know if this is like a normal thing that there would be family planning during this time in the first century when it was so normal for you to just have kids all the time and have big families. And I don't know. It's an interesting thing. I'd love to do more research on it and see kind of where these things land and see where it lands in The Chosen. But it is interesting to see kind of the thought process here because it seems very modern to me, at least, just my first reaction of it. So, but it is very interesting. And I think Simon kind of proposing this, I think it would be weird for Eden not to be the first one to think about this even, because obviously being a woman, I think that primarily women have this, desire to be mothers and to kind of be a parent. And I don't know, it's interesting. I won't dive into it too much because I don't know too much about it, but it is interesting to me.
It's time.
So we get that scene there, and then at the very end of the 2x2 scene, we also get another point where they have a small kind of moment, Simon and Eden do, at the end of this part here.
Eden, this doesn't change our family plans. I don't have to be...
Not now.
I can talk to Rabbi. He can shorten my
Do
trip.
not say anything to him. I'll be fine. I just need a minute.
So she's upset because this is kind of ruining their plans. They don't know what's going to happen. So here's what I think is actually going to happen with Simon and Eden. I think that we're going to get a big time skip in episode 4. I think that we're going to have, because realistically, we've only been, like, in all of The Chosen so far, up until this point, it's only been a few months. Like, it has not been that long at all. Kind of talking through season 1, 2, and now into season 3. And so in season 3, there has to be a larger chunk of time that is taken up. Because we're just now heading into, technically, Jesus' second year of ministry, because in episode 3, we're going to see Rosh Hashanah, which is the new year. So I don't know. It's interesting to see how all these things are put together, but we don't quite know the timeline and how it's working exactly. But we do know that not very much time has passed from season 1, episode 1 until now. It's not like a year has passed. It hasn't been that long. But in episode 3 and 4, I think we're going to get a much larger time period that's going to kind of be spread out, which will be cool to see, but we'll also be able to see that 2x2. I think during that time, we're going to find out that Eden is pregnant. We're also going to probably find out that she is going to have a miscarriage. It would be my guess. And then in episodes 5 and 6, we're going to see the outcome of that. We're going to see Simon and her kind of come to this broken state, and we're not going to see the full conclusion of it until probably later in the season, episode 7, 8 area, probably episode 8 area. Because we've seen a scene with John and Simon kind of on their own, and we know that that's in the finale because Dallas has talked about it. All the behind-the-scenes sleuthing stuff kind of comes up there. So, yeah, Simon and Eden, very interesting characters. I'm very excited for the progression through season 3. I think Eden could be the most important character in all of season 3, other than Jesus, of course. But it's going to be interesting to see where she lands. So, anyway, see you guys on the next one. Peace.